On a rain-swept highway, Ethan's luxury car glided to a stop. He was late for a crucial business dinner, a deal that could make or break his company's future. Up ahead, the flashing hazard lights of a broken-down car cut through the downpour. A woman, soaked to the bone, stood beside it, waving frantically for help. Ethan glanced at his expensive watch. He couldn't afford to be late. He sighed, annoyed by the interruption. He thought, someone else will stop. With a pang of guilt he quickly suppressed, he maneuvered his car around her and sped off into the stormy night. The dinner was a success. The contracts were signed, the handshakes were firm, and the future looked bright. Ethan returned home late, feeling triumphant. He poured himself a celebratory drink and switched on the television to catch the late-night news, basking in the glow of his achievement. The anchor's voice was somber, a stark contrast to his own cheerful mood. A special report began, detailing a multi-billion-dollar philanthropic initiative just announced. The screen filled with a picture of a woman, and Ethan's heart stopped. It was her, the woman from the highway. The anchor's voice faded into a dull hum in his ears. Her name was Evelyn Reed, the notoriously private, incredibly wealthy founder of a global tech empire, known for her down-to-earth nature and anonymous acts of kindness. Tonight, she had announced the largest charitable donation in the country's history, a fund dedicated to supporting grassroots community projects, the very projects Ethan's own company had publicly dismissed as unprofitable. The report continued. Ms. Reed had been on her way to a small, struggling community center, the first recipient of her new fund, when her car broke down. She had wanted to deliver the news in person, to see the faces of the people she was helping. The anchor mentioned that she had waited for over an hour in the pouring rain, ignored by countless passing cars, before a tow truck finally arrived. She spoke on camera, not with anger, but with a sad smile. It reminded me why this work is so important, she said. Sometimes, people just need to know that someone is willing to stop for them, that they haven't been forgotten. Ethan sank into his chair, the glass slipping from his hand and shattering on the floor. He hadn't just driven past a stranger. He had driven past an opportunity to show the kind of character he always claimed to have. His big business deals suddenly felt hollow, a monument to his own selfish ambition. He had been so focused on acquiring wealth that he failed the simple test of humanity. The woman he had deemed an inconvenience was a giant of generosity, a person who truly understood the meaning of value. Over the next few days, Ethan couldn't shake the image of Evelyn Reed from his mind. Her face was everywhere on magazine covers, news channels and billboards celebrating her incredible contribution to society. Every time he saw her, it was a piercing reminder of his own failure. His business associates praised his recent success, but their words were meaningless. He had won the deal, but lost something far more important. A piece of his self-respect. He found himself researching her foundation, reading about the countless lives she had touched. He saw stories of families saved from eviction, students given scholarships, and small towns all because of her quiet dedication. He learned she often went undercover to understand the real needs of communities, which explained why she was driving an old, unreliable car on that rainy night. She wasn't looking for recognition. She was looking for connection, driven by a profound sense of shame and a newfound desire for redemption. Ethan made a decision. He looked up the address of her foundation and wrote a letter. He didn't make excuses or try to justify his actions. He simply wrote the truth. He told her who he was, what he had done, and how her example had shattered his perception of success. He confessed that his ambition had blinded him to the needs of others. He ended the letter not by asking for forgiveness, but by asking how he could help. He sealed the envelope, his hands trembling slightly. This felt more significant than any contract he had ever signed. Weeks turned into a month, and Ethan received no reply. He didn't expect one. He began making changes in his own life. He started volunteering at a local soup kitchen, an experience that was both humbling and eye-opening. He saw firsthand the struggles people faced every day. He directed his company to start a pro bono program, offering its services to nonprofits and community startups that couldn't afford them. His colleagues were confused, but Ethan was resolute. He was no longer chasing deals. He was chasing a purpose. One afternoon, an unmarked envelope arrived at his office. Inside was a simple, handwritten note. It read, "Mr. Haddison, true wealth isn't what you accumulate, but what you give away. Your journey is just beginning. The community center on Elm Street needs a new roof. Be there Saturday at 9 a.m. Come prepared to work. It was signed simply ER that Saturday. Ethan arrived at the community center, not in his luxury car, but in an old pickup truck, dressed in work clothes. He saw a group of volunteers already busy, and among them, handing out water bottles, was Evelyn Reed. She wore jeans and a simple t-shirt, her hair tied back. She looked over and saw him, offering a small, knowing smile. There were no cameras, no reporters, just people coming together to help. Ethan picked up a hammer and got to work. As he hammered nails alongside strangers from all walks of life, he felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced in any boardroom. He wasn't the rich man anymore. He was just Eth, a volunteer trying to fix a roof. He worked all day, his muscles aching, his hands raw. At the end of the day, Evelyn walked over to him. "Hard work, isn't it?" she said. He nodded, breathless and smiling. "The best I've ever done," he replied. That day was a turning point. Ethan became a regular volunteer, using both his wealth and his time to make a difference. He learned that true connection is built not through transactions, but through shared effort and empathy. His encounter on that rainy night had initially filled him with shame, but it ultimately led him to a richer, more meaningful life. He had been given a second chance, not to impress a billionaire, but to become a better man, and that was a deal worth more than any amount of money. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires.